What up, though, y'all? It's Chris, broadcasting from the D. I guess we got to talk about Ciara and Russell Wilson. They're in the algorithm. So we had the one guy. He used to play football. He's on the Channing something. He used to play football. He's on the Pivot podcast with Ryan Clark, in case you guys are wondering where you can find him. But he had brought up Russell Wilson before, kind of saying that he was lame and whatnot. And this isn't a new sentiment when it comes to Russell Wilson. A lot of people call him lame or corny, the nice guy, the good guy, whatever. And Ciara was on The Breakfast Club recently. And Charlemagne, of course, as to be expected, Charlemagne brought up that Russell Wilson is referred to as being lame. Ciara is very aware of this. This isn't new. Her reaction to it was kind of annoyed because she doesn't want him to be viewed that way, even though I'm sure he knows he's viewed that way and he doesn't really care. She don't want him to be viewed that way. And I think that's a good thing. But at first she was like, she's not even going to respond to that, this and that. But then she kind of ended up responding to it anyway. She was like, well, who's saying this? Who's the man that's saying this? And Charlemagne, of course, mentioned to her who it was. Charlemagne is really good at creating viral moments for The Breakfast Club. Like, seriously, I don't always agree with stuff that Charlemagne says, but what I'm always going to give him credit for is the man is very good at his job. He knows how to get a guest on there and ask the right questions. So this is why we talking about it, because Charlemagne knew exactly where to go to get a viral moment. And she starts going on about what an amazing person he is. He's so wonderful, so smart, yada, yada. And so my man on the Pivot, he saw this. So she wasn't being nasty or disrespectful. She was just defending her man, not attacking Channing. So this gets back to him. He sees the clip. So it gets brought up again on the Pivot. He chooses to double down on it. He's like, listen, I'm from Atlanta. She from Atlanta. She never would have been checking for him back in 2000. Can't argue with him there. So, look, Ciara, I think she got lucky. She managed to get Russell Wilson. He's absolutely in love with her. You could tell he all about her, family. People call him lame because he is being a stepfather to her son that she had with Future. Listen, I'll say this. In the majority of cases, and I've said this before, and I really ruffled some feathers in the comments. This was a video I made, it was like this time last year. But oftentimes, man, way more often than not, the stepfather is just a guy who she's settling for now that she has kids. Not in every case, but in our culture, black culture, ooh boy, it is way the majority of the time. I'd say probably 95% of the time when it comes to black women settling down with a dude, he was not their first pick. The guy who they gave a child to was who they wanted. They're just dealing with this guy now because he's willing to help. All right, he's willing to help buy school uniforms. He's willing to help buy food because that EBT card is not hidden like it used to. He's willing to pay bills. He's willing to help out because the guy who she had a kid with ain't around. Oftentimes, the stepdaddy is held to a way higher standard than the guy that she actually had the kid with. They have more expectations of him in terms of taking care of the kid than the kid's actual father. So, there's that. That's one of the reasons why people refer to him as being lame, because here he is being a stepdaddy, and the guy who she had the kid with, Future, he couldn't care less. I think recently, Ciara made the announcement that Little Future's last name has officially been changed to Wilson. So I really don't have a problem with that. I know a lot of people are, because that just kind of adds to, in their opinion, what makes him lame. But here's the thing. It's nothing wrong with Russell Wilson being quote unquote lame. And y'all may be like, what? Yeah, listen, I'm 44 years old, y'all. If I was 20 years younger, I'm sure I'd have a different opinion about this. But now that I've seen enough and done enough and had enough relationships, there's nothing wrong with that man being lame. Now, I'm not going to say he should be a stepdaddy. So let me just go ahead and clarify that. I'm not saying he should go be anybody's stepdaddy. I'm talking about in terms of being a guy that's about getting married, about family. He just go play ball, earn his money. He not in the streets being messy. You never hear of him in any scandals of any sort. That is what we refer to in black culture as lame. Because he's not a street dude, he's lame. Damn all that stuff. If me enjoying my freedom and not going out in the streets partaking in stupid stuff makes me lame, I'm lame. I'm the lamest mofo y'all know, because I am so over that. I am not interested in taking part in any activities that will put my freedom at risk or put my safety at risk. I ain't going, bro. Y'all going to do this and that? Oh, yeah, man. Let me go on and let y'all go. Holla at me tomorrow. Let me know how that went or whatever. Oh, you ain't coming? Nah, man, I'm not coming. I've told y'all before, it's certain stuff I won't even go to. Like, if it's going to be a lot of a certain type of people that's going to be there, I know that the likelihood of something stupid happening is very high. I'm not going, man. So that whole he lame stuff, I don't really have a problem with it, unfortunately. Now, here's the really bad part about our culture. The nice guy, the stand-up guy, the guy who never gets in trouble. Unfortunately, in our culture, that's not often who the women go for. Not when they're at their peak. When they still got perky boobs and a thin waist and they don't have any kids, when their body count is still low, whatever, the guy like Russell Wilson, that's not who they checking for. They want the guy that is gonna be the bad guy, the bad boy, the one that's a bit dangerous. Ciara in an interview said years ago that she had a thing for rebels. So you can see why she lined up to be baby mama number 4 for Future. Speaking of her, do y'all remember, this was a little bit ago, the guy who did, I think it's Jim Jones, he did the Ballin' song. He was sitting down doing an interview, and she goes over to him and starts questioning him about why he ain't married his chick yet. I guess they've been engaged for 20 years, something like that, maybe a little longer. And she goes, interrupting his interview, mind you, questioning him about why he ain't married his chick yet. And in my opinion, that really gave a window peek into certain aspects of their marriage. So she basically just does whatever she wants, and he doesn't really give too much pushback. He seems like the type of guy that's just kind of laid back, easy going or whatever. He don't do too much complaining, and you can tell. Now, I'm not saying he's got to be some toxic, super controlling guy, but at her husband, there is some degree of control that he should have. I think a woman that has a husband who she loves and respects has no business jumping up in another man's business like that. It's like, who are you to be questioning this guy? You don't even know him. And you stopped his interview to ask him about his business. That was just kind of strange to me. And I'm just like, yeah, I can't imagine a guy that, is like the head of his house, the lead or whatever, his woman ever thinking that going and speaking to another man about his business, about his affairs, his relationships is something that she should do. So there's that. But that's basically my thoughts on it, man. Russell Wilson, yeah, he is lame. Yeah, he is a little bit of a cornball and all that. He is. But there's nothing wrong with that. I don't have an issue with that. This whole idea that everybody got to be a street dude because they got melanin is just silly to me, man. You know, the dude, he not cut from the same cloth as some of these dudes that's out there criticizing him. You know, he was raised different. He has certain values instilled in him. Honestly, if I could be really real with y'all, Russell Wilson is how many of these dudes should raise their son to be. A guy that's stand up, a guy that's not out here in the streets, a guy that's not in any drama, a guy that's about getting his paper, family, wants to get married instead of having a bunch of baby mamas running around. But instead, they calling them lame. I don't know about that one, man. That just goes to show you the type of stuff that in black culture that we tend to glorify. I'm gonna leave it there though, you guys. Hit me with a like if you like what I do. Hit me with a sub if you like what I do. Hit me in them comments. I'm gonna holler at y'all. Peace.